We wish we never had a daughter like you. I'm Claire Adams, 27, and my own parents said that to me, out loud, at the graduation dinner I paid for at Delmonico's in Seattle. I'd just earned my MBA from Stanford. I booked the room, covered every plate and bottle, and watched them turn my celebration into a commercial for my sister Ashley, the doctor. When my manager toasted my work, they laughed and said an MBA doesn't measure up. Then came that sentence, the one you can't unhear. Something in me snapped into place. They thought I'd keep funding the family, keep shrinking to fit their pride. They forgot one thing. I know exactly where every dollar and every boundary goes now. Have you ever been erased by the people who should have lifted you up? Tell me in the comments, and tap like if this hits home. I didn't cry after Delmonico's. I walked out into the drizzle and felt empty, like someone had switched off a noise I'd lived with for years. The next morning, 11 missed calls and one text waited for me. You embarrassed us. I hope you're proud of yourself. Proud? I thought of the bill I'd paid for that dinner, like all the silent bills before it. It wasn't new. I grew up learning how to disappear so Ashley could glow. 2 years apart, a lifetime in how we were loved. Her recitals had balloons and gold letters. My birthday once had a cake that read, "Happy birthday, Ashley and Claire." My name squeezed like an afterthought in the corner. When I won first at the regional math competition, Mom didn't look up from the laundry. "That's nice," she said. "But Ashley's volunteering at the hospital. Real impact." That phrase became our family gospel. Nothing counted without a stethoscope, so I made myself useful. In college, I opened the coffee shop at dawn, scrubbed offices after night classes, tutored on weekends. Every paycheck evaporated. Light bills when the power was cut. Ashley's textbooks, rent, groceries. I sent money with a note that said, "It's covered," and a smiley face to make it easier to accept. They didn't ask how I managed 3 jobs. They just accepted, as if it were owed. After graduation, the pattern calcified into code. 3 automatic transfers went out every month. 1 to my parents' utilities, 1 to Ashley's tuition, 1 toward the family mortgage. I set them up on a Tuesday between midterms and a client presentation, telling myself it was temporary. Years passed. Gratitude didn't. The only thank you I remember was silence. Michael, my closest friend, called it out long before I could. "You can't water dead roots, Claire," he told me. "It's not your fault when nothing grows." I laughed it off and kept pouring. At Delmonico's, when my manager toasted me and my parents redirected every compliment back to Ashley, I heard the old gospel again. Compared to a doctor, an MBA doesn't measure up. Then Dad's blade. "We wish we never had a daughter like you." The room gasped. My life didn't flash before my eyes. It organized itself. Years of quiet giving. Years of being told my worth only mattered when it served theirs. And a single sudden thought, this ends with me. I woke in the new apartment before the sun, the room pale and undecorated, the mattress still on the floor. For a minute I listened for the old noises, Ashley's name on my parents' lips, the low hum of obligation, and heard nothing. I opened my laptop. 3 tabs were already waiting. Parents, utilities, Ashley, tuition, family, mortgage. The auto-pays I'd set up between exams and client meetings, the ones that had run for years like background radiation. I hovered over cancel. My fingers shook. I clicked anyway. A confirmation box blinked. "Are you sure?" "Yes." "Are you really sure?" "Yes." One by one, the pipelines closed. When the last window went gray, my chest felt lighter, like someone had cut a hidden wire. I made coffee in a dented French press, the kind you keep through 3 apartments because it never asks anything of you. I drank it by the window, watching Bellevue's maples shimmer in the early light. "Mine," I whispered, surprised at the quiet pride in the word. Work shifted too. My manager slid a stack of briefs across the table. "Redmond Tech, High stakes. I want you leading. I didn't chase praise. I ran the room. Whiteboards filled, deadlines held. I called risks early, solved messes before they became fires. People started saying my name without attaching it to anyone else's. Not Ashley's sister, just Claire. Nights were for building a home from the inside out. A soft gray couch. A lamp shaped like a branch. Books unboxed and lined up like small testimonies. I exist. I tucked a framed photo on the shelf. Michael and me on a lawn years ago. Coffee cups. The kind of grin you wear before life teaches you how to barter it away. On Saturday, Michael knocked with Thai takeout and a budget bottle of Cabernet. Still breathing? He joked, stepping over the threshold as if he'd always been allowed. More than breathing, I said. Starting. We ate cross-legged on the new rug. Noodles draped over chopsticks, music low. He looked around. It feels like you. I'm still figuring out what that means. He lifted his glass, to figuring it out. Warmth moved through me. Quieter than joy. Steadier than relief. Maybe the first sketch of self-respect. The calls started again. Mom, Dad, Mom, Dad. 10 in a row, then silence, then another run. I flipped the phone to Do Not Disturb and set it face down. They had chosen silence for years. I could choose it now, too. Routine became a refuge. Early trains, hard meetings, late slides. Then home to candles, a book, a single plate in the sink. I slept with the window cracked just enough to hear the city breathe. On a Tuesday, I kicked off my heels and loosened my blazer, the apartment holding that golden hour haze that makes everything look a little forgiven. Then, a knock. Not tentative, not polite. Firm, metronomic, a sound that expected doors to open. I checked the clock. 4:13 p.m. I crossed the floor and reached for the handle, a calm settling over me that felt almost like armor. I opened the door. They stood on my threshold like inspectors, polished shoes, beige trench, faces composed as if rehearsed. My parents. No flowers, no apology, just presence. We need to talk, Mom said, already stepping past me. They settled on my couch, the one I'd bought with the money they never thanked me for. I stayed standing. Dad smoothed his sleeve. Ashley's run into setbacks. The word hung there, antiseptic. Her hospital internship was terminated, Mom added. Staff cuts. A beat. And her tuition balance is overdue. If it isn't paid, she could be forced out. There it was. The reason for the knock timed to my commute. The shoes still on. The tone pitched for a boardroom. Not we're sorry. Not we were wrong. Just the old refrain in a new room. We need your help, Mom said. I let the words wash over me and fall away. Help, I repeated, tasting it like something I used to swallow without water. I funded the lights when they were cut. I covered textbooks, rent, groceries. I set up 3 automatic transfers, utilities, mortgage, tuition, and kept them running for years. The night I asked for one thing back, respect, you told me I humiliated you. We were angry, Dad snapped. You were disrespectful. My heels clicked once against the hardwood. No, you disrespected me for years, quietly, consistently, until it felt like the rhythm of our home. You didn't raise me. You drained me. Mom's arms crossed, chin lifting. We're your parents, and I carried it, I said, steady now. I carried all of it while you stood on my back and praised someone else for standing taller. Silence. The room pulsed. I could hear the hum of my refrigerator, the faint street noise through the window. My life, still going. Dad tried the old logic. This is family, Claire. Blood is not when it's toxic. My voice didn't rise. It landed. I stepped to the door and opened it wide, the hallway light cutting a clean line across the rug. If you came to apologize, I'll listen. If you came to ask for more, that conversation ended the night you said, "We wish we never had a daughter like you." He flinched. For once, nothing came out. Mom stood, eyes hard. You'll regret this. Someday you'll realize you need your family. I held her gaze. I already have one. It just doesn't include you. They walked past, stiff, wordless. The door closed with a soft click that sounded, to me, like a verdict. I waited. For collapse. For the old panic. It didn't come. No shaking hands. No rush to send a transfer marked urgent. Just a stillness I barely recognized. I rested my palm on the door, feeling its cool grain under my fingertips, and let the truth settle. I had not lost a family. I had ended a pattern. In the kitchen, the kettle began to sing. I poured water over a tea bag and watched the color bloom. My phone buzzed on the counter. Mom. Dad. I flipped it face down and carried my cup to the window. Outside, the late light turned the maple leaves copper. Inside, my apartment held. I'd left Delmonico's to save myself. At my own front door, I finally did. Counter-Strike didn't look like shouting. It looked like steps. Step 1. Keep the transfers off. No more utilities, no more tuition, no more mortgage. The budget I had once built around their needs bent toward mine. Rent, savings, small joys that didn't need anyone's permission. Step 2. Do the work for me. My manager handed me the Redmond restructuring and never hovered. I led the room not to prove anything to my parents, but because the plan was sound and the numbers sang. When the client renewed and doubled the engagement, our team's name went on the board. This time, so did mine. Step 3. Tell the truth without theatrics. A local business magazine asked for an interview. The old me would have said no, scared to be seen. I said yes, and kept names out of it. I talked about leading through resistance, about growing up unseen and learning to stop chasing the love that never lands. One line left my mouth before I could measure it. You don't have to earn love from people who use it as a weapon. The story went live. Rising star, Claire Adams on leading through resilience. My inbox flooded. Strangers saying it cracked something open in them. Colleagues sending quiet fist bumps. Michael texted a screenshot with my quote circled. Damn, Claire. You started a quiet revolution. Then came the backlash. From Mom, you've humiliated this family. From Dad, how dare you speak about us in public. A third message. Ashley's struggling and you're out there showing off. Showdown used to mean I'd race to explain, to paste the pieces back together with my own apology. That day, I read each line, felt the old muscle reach for a keyboard, and did nothing. My silence wasn't surrender anymore. It was boundary. When they tried a different angle, blood is blood, I pictured my door closing with that soft click. When they tried guilt, you'll regret this. I remembered Dad's sentence at Delmonico's and how my hands didn't shake afterward. The power had always lived where I spent my energy. I was reallocating. At work, I presented our final roadmap to the executive team. Charts, timelines, hard calls that saved real dollars. When the COO asked who would own the next phase, my manager didn't hesitate. Claire. After the meeting, he slid an envelope across the table. Leadership contract. Terms we'd negotiated, not gifted. You've earned this, he said. Don't look back. That night, my apartment glowed low and warm. Friends squeezed onto the gray couch. Someone balanced a ridiculous cheese board on the coffee table. Laughter rose and fell like a tide I could finally trust. No one mentioned Ashley. No one asked me to make it right. They just raised glasses. Michael tapped mine. Look around, he said. This is the family you built. I scanned the room, the easy smiles, the records humming in the corner, the way the space held us. Yeah, I said, the words steady. The kind that chose me, too. My phone buzzed on the counter and lit up with my last name in a subject line I didn't open. I set it face down. My plan didn't need their participation. It only needed my follow-through. Cancel the drains. Do the work. Tell the truth. Hold the line. When the laughter quieted and the door clicked behind the last friend, I stood at the window with the city glittering back. The balance had shifted. The leverage wasn't money or apologies. It was ownership of my choices, my story, my silence. Later, when the apartment was quiet and the candles thinned to small halos, I stepped onto the balcony. Bay air slipped through my hair, cool and clean, like it knew what needed clearing out. Seattle glittered beneath me. Windows, ferries, the soft movement of a city that never once asked me to be smaller. I lifted my glass and felt the stillness settle. Not the empty kind. The kind that arrives after a door closes with a soft click and stays closed. I thought of every unnoticed transfer. Every bill marked it's covered. Every moment I mistook usefulness for love. I thought of Delmonico's and the sentence I'll never unhear. Then I let my mind replay the firsts I want to remember instead. The morning I canceled the autopays. The night I slept in a room that belonged only to me. The day I signed a contract with my name on the line. And no one else's shadow attached. Inside, my phone buzzed. Not my parents this time. A stranger. Your story helped me walk away from pain I thought I had to accept. I stood there a long moment, the screen lighting my palm, and understood something simple. I wasn't alone. I never had been. I was just too busy proving I deserved a place to notice the people already making space for me. Maybe we don't choose the family we're born to, but we do choose the weight we keep carrying, and what we finally set down. Love that demands proof is a bargain. I'm done bargaining. I'm done watering dead roots. What grows now is mine. I slipped back inside and turned off the lights. The room held warmth anyway. Laughter in the cushions, music in the air, the outline of a life I chose. I'm not the daughter they wanted. I am the woman I became when I stopped asking for permission. If any part of this felt like your story, tell me in the comments and tap like so it reaches someone who needs it. And if you want more quiet revolutions like this, subscribe. We'll keep choosing ourselves. Together.